what role is Gary Cohn playing here? And he's playing it kind of by default at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, so he is National Economic Director for Trump at the White House, and he doesn't need Senate confirmation, so he could start as soon as the Trump administration began. He has his White House office all set up. And he is right now pretty much the face of economic policies going forward from the Trump administration. On Friday, when Trump unveiled his Dodd-Frank review executive order, we heard from Gary Cohn about the details on that.
Yeah, so Saleha, how much does he agree with the likes of Steve Mnuchin, who's obviously not confirmed yet, but maybe the Treasury Secretary? It sounds like from Mnuchin's testimony before Congress that there might be some disagreement there.
You know, Mnuchin likes to characterize himself as a regional banker. Anytime during his confirmation hearing, a senator referred to him as a former Goldman Sachs partner, he kept reminding them, no, I am a regional banker. And from that perspective, when it comes to Dodd-Frank, and a lot of the community banks wanting a savior, someone out there to kind of trumpet what they want, he may be the right person. But, you know, it remains to be seen how well they can work together. There's a lot of strong characters there. We have Gary Cohn, who comes from a markets background. We have Mnuchin coming with his banking experience. We have, you know, Wilbur Ross with his business experience, Peter Navarro on the trade side. So a lot of people pulling in different directions, and you just kind of wonder, what is it like when they're all in a room with the president pitching ideas?
The history of the director of the National Economic Council is a short history. It doesn't go back that many years. But when you look at people who've held that job in the past, Larry Summers, Robert Rubin, if I'm not mistaken, these are people who have assumed pretty large public roles. Any sense what Gary Cohn intends to make out of the NEC generally and of his role going forward even after Mr. Mnuchin is confirmed, if in fact that does happen?
You know, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty strong role. You know, Larry Summers, when he was at an NEC in the same role, he was a pretty strong NEC director. And he was coming from Treasury. Now, we had Rubin, who maybe wasn't quite as strong, but he was known for coordinating really well across many, many agencies. And then he ended up at Treasury. So you just kind of have to wonder, it depends on whether there is a lot of people pulling rank of, you know, who is closer to President Trump and who has the better ideas, or whether they're able to really come together as a team and make this work.
So I suppose it'll in the end be up to Cohn to take care of things like regulation. It might be up to Mnuchin on things like, I don't know, taxes and so forth. They'll divide up the priorities, right, Saleha?
I don't think that they'll divide it up. I mean, when you hear from Mnuchin in the few times that he's been out in the public and talking, he seems very interested in tax policy, and he also seems very interested in Dodd-Frank and looking at the nuances. You know, he speaks very carefully about Dodd-Frank and wanting to look deeper into the issues. And he says, you know, he met and spoken with and dealt with so many different federal regulators that he knows what it's like to be a regional banker contending with all of the regulations that are out there. So I don't think that he'll let the reins go on that easily.